Europe, and we started from European countries like Hungary and Romania. But now, as the company grew, we actually are working with a lot of companies and a lot of publishing companies from all over the world, from the US, from the UK, and also from all over Europe, and even from South Africa. So it's really awesome to work with so many different nations and so many different publishing companies who are facing very similar problems right now. So when we are talking to them every day, I was super excited and super curious to figure out what kind of problems they are facing right now and how we can help them to survive and also to thrive in this current environment. And many of them actually said that when it comes to their book business, which is print heavy, which was print heavy, right now they experience a 60 or even 70% drop in print sales, which you can imagine it's an awesome, it's a very, very bad situation. And also what we could see that when it comes to digital, they were a bit less strategic about that, and they ask a lot of help from us how we actually can help them to survive this situation. And we put together a plan, some kind of strategic decisions and also action plan, how they can survive and what kind of tactics they can actually use right now, and what we see on the market, because we actually work with over 10,000 different publishers and even authors as well. And we wanted to share the knowledge, what we can see right now in the market. So we analyze our data, our sales data, to see what is actually trending right now. So what categories are selling, in which countries, and also which stores are really interesting to look at right now. And we will share some of this data with you guys. And also, because of this whole situation, what we believe will actually transform the whole industry. We want to help publishing companies to survive during these very sad times, and also to thrive, because we could see that digital sales are actually booming. So every month we experience more than 20% growth since the COVID-19 outbreak. So we believe that in every bad situation, we can find something good. And that's what we want to share with you guys right now.
Thank you so much, Kinga. That's certainly a hopeful note to start on. Before I go into the next question, I just wanted to say hi to Sandy and Olivier, who said good afternoon. So thank you for joining us. Yes, so I brought some numbers with me. Basically some global numbers about changing in reading habits. So one of them is 45% in France said, according to Statista, that they read more after the lockdown. Amazon China made a survey, and the people who answered, 70% of them read more. There's a similar trend in the UK, according to reading agency, with 45% reading more. And in Canada, actually 35% more people read ebooks than before the lockdown happened. What do you see, Kinga? What could be the drivers behind these numbers? And how was this situation, how did the situation show in the PublishDrive numbers?
Yeah, so obviously when it comes to digital book sales growth, we can definitely see the trend because of the lockdown. So in every country, because of the COVID-19, governments had to actually introduce measurements in order to protect the people and to make sure that they can stay safe. So people stayed home more, and they were looking for different kind of entertainment methods, and one of them was books. So at least this is something what we can be happy about, that people read more books right now in all formats. So even in print, in audio, or ebook, and also they are looking for digital versions more. Because obviously when it comes to the whole supply chain of the book business, print has its difficulties currently. Even print on demand in many cases has some problems right now. So what we could see that because of the lockdown and because of the people are not traveling and they are not socializing that much anymore at this point, people are actually reading more and finding those kind of ways of entertainment, which is more about being in a room and being with their family.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask, so how did this affect PublishDrive and the numbers in PublishDrive?
Yeah, so we definitely could see the sales are growing. Every month we see 22 or 23% growth per month. And also I actually want to share some of the charts what we pulled based on PublishDrive's data. So let me share my screen with you guys. One sec. Hope you see my screen right now. And here we basically collected the knowledge, what kind of categories are selling well. We chose the top 30 best-selling categories based on their growth and based on how much money they make. So it's really interesting to see that both in nonfiction and in fiction, there are certain categories which are thriving right now. And it's because of different reasons. So first of all, when it comes to nonfiction, a lot of educational materials are actually selling more because of the educational situation. So many people are actually, many students are staying at home as well, and they needed to switch to digital education only. So a lot of teachers all around the world are actually searching for different kind of educational materials. So we could see that even foreign language study or psychology, social science type of books are selling pretty well, and study aids also. And also the traditional nonfiction best-selling titles like biographies and business or self-help are thriving right now as well. And this because that there are a lot of people who actually were more traveling, or they were actually more on business travels or conferences all around the world, and instead of actually going outside right now, they are putting more effort into developing themselves, and that's why they are reading books about the topics what they are most interested in about to develop themselves and educate themselves. On the fiction side, it's super interesting to see that obviously romance and the best-selling categories are also growing. But what is really interesting to see that fantasy in the last couple of months is growing pretty high right now, and even historical books. So anything related to historical fiction is selling right now pretty well. So it's super interesting to see this data, and what we can see that these numbers will stay in May as well. So we definitely can see constant growth in terms of sales numbers.
That's really interesting. Perhaps people want a little bit of magic during this during this period, and historical fiction can be very useful teaching material. It's a fun way to learn history, so that can be a factor. What would you suggest? How can publishers have part of this success in digital sales? What are the steps that they can follow?
So first of all, when it comes to books, it's really cool to see that right now books are an escape for people. So all the publishers should definitely think about how they can take part in the digital strategy more, and how they can develop their digital strategy, or even transform their current digital strategy to make sure that they can actually meet the needs of the current readers all around the world. So we identified three different areas where you as a publishers need to focus very sharply right now. One of them is production. So you definitely have to find ways how to scale your production right now. And you have to think about multi-format production scaling, because right now, as I mentioned before, all the different formats about books are actually selling. And it's, if you have a book already, a content, which is great content, if you are not putting them into different formats, you are missing out on a huge growth right now. The second one is obviously distribution. So it's really cool to sell on Amazon, and we definitely are partnering with Amazon as well, and we see that they are a dominant partner, and we love working with them. But also we can see if you are publishing only on Amazon, you can miss a huge part of the whole market. So you definitely have to see different options like libraries or other retail channels to sell your book to. And especially in this situation when there is a lot of change in consumer behavior. Also, the third part is marketing. Everyone knows that you cannot just publish a book without doing any marketing efforts. So it's really important right now to build your own audience with different kind of tactics than before, or even focusing on the digital tactics more. And also, when it comes to your ad strategies, it's a super interesting area right now to optimize your ad strategy, because there are different statistics about that Facebook and even Amazon ads can be more profitable for you right now. So let's look at the different parts. First of all, production, how you can scale it. So there are different steps what you can take, and as I mentioned to you, readers want content right now as fast as possible in different formats. So it's super important to think multi-format from the very beginning. Obviously, ebooks are the easiest ones to create. So if you actually have a manuscript, it's super important to create the manuscript in a way which is easy to convert into ebook formats. There are a lot of free ebook converters available on the market, and you should be able to scale your whole production with using one of those. PublishDrive has one of those ebook converters as well, which is totally free to use. It works with DocX to convert an EPUB, which is for commercial purposes. So it's not just for people to read on their own devices, but to sell. So it's a good quality converter. But there are others on the market as well which you could use. And it helps you to actually create more content faster and also cheaper. So if you can actually make some amendments in the very beginning when you create your manuscript in order to create the ebooks faster, it will actually help you to scale. Also, it's the same with the other formats. You can find different processes and different products that can help you to scale. What is super important as well, if you have a lot of content, what you want to publish in a certain amount of time, to decide whether you want to actually do it on your own, in-house with some of your team members, or you want to actually outsource it, or you want to use some kind of hybrid version of in-house and outsourcing methods. All of them can work, all of them great strategies. It's just up to you what you actually want to sacrifice, whether it's your time or your money, because all of them will actually take some investment from you in order to create more content, what readers want right now. Also, because of the COVID-19 situation, we can see that a lot of publishers are actually coming to PublishDrive, and many of them want everything right now, obviously, or even for yesterday, because that's how business works, and that's how everyone can see an opportunity right now in the situation that readers want more content. So it's really important for you to decide if you actually want to get everything done by tomorrow, then you need some extra help. So you need to work with other people, and you need to find reliable companies and reliable people to work with. And also you have to set a budget, because obviously it takes your time as well, and it takes some money to create all the content you have in different formats. And what is super important to build these processes which are actually repeatable. So try to find a way when you actually can build processes, document them, and also maybe hire a VA or hire other outside people who can make it for you very easy and very cheap and fast. So in this way, you can create more content faster.
These are very, very important steps. You mentioned that distribution is another factor that is very important in this strategy, and also mentioned that Amazon is of course a very dominant sales channel, but you said that there are more ways to distribute. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to distribution, there are a lot of ways how you can sell books right now. And we can see different growth numbers based on the different channels as well. So as I mentioned before, Amazon is super dominant, and they have a large market share. But also, when we look at the sales numbers, we can see that 61% of the book sales are coming outside of Amazon at least. So that's a very huge number to miss out right now. And also, when we are looking at the growth numbers, we definitely can see that digital libraries are spiking right now, or even subscription services. So let's look at what kind of different channels you can actually sell your books to. One of them is retail, like Amazon, Apple, Google, Kobo, Barnes and Noble. These are the 5 major global channels where you can actually sell your titles to. And all of them are growing right now, at least based on our numbers, what we can see. So it's super important to sell your book to all these channels. Libraries can include all the institutions, which are public libraries, corporate libraries, schools, or even universities. And all of them are searching for content desperately. So every day, or even every hour, sometimes we actually are reached out by even a retailer or by a library that, hey guys, do you have more content in this specific genre? Because we want to actually provide more content to our readers. And we are like, okay, super interesting. And we are looking at also on our catalog, which is more than 100,000 books right now. And we are trying to find the best fitting books for their requests as well. So whenever you see a new promotion opportunity within PublishDrive, they are real, they are looking for content right now desperately. So make sure that you actually are submitting your titles to different promotion activities. Also, subscription services, those are like Script or Bookmate. These providers are providing their service for readers for a flat fee. So whenever a reader pays a monthly fee, then they actually are allowed to read either unlimited number of titles, or they are limited for a specific number of titles. It depends on the business model of the different provider. But those providers right now are increasing a lot because they have a business model which is very compelling for many readers who are actually heavy readers especially. And regional stores are they have all the stores in China, in Eastern Europe, or in Africa, or in all over the world, which is also super interesting to see how they are growing. And this is one of the effects of COVID-19 as well, that when it comes to the lockdown and when it comes to the whole virus situation, people are actually turning to their local stores and to their local environment more, and their local community. So that's what we can see behind the regional stores growth, that people are actually looking for connecting with their local community more and with their local stores as well. And we looked at some of the growth numbers behind these. So first of all, retail is the most dominant, so it's 56% of our sales. But also subscription is growing heavily to 35% right now. And you can see that regional stores are increasing, and they actually have a large part of the pie as well. And also we looked at which countries are actually growing the most. And we found out that all the English language countries are growing heavily, but also Spain, French, Germany, they are growing every month by month. And it's very interesting to see how the readers are actually growing, looking for content in their local market. And when it comes to the US market, we could see that there was an 11% growth in the US market only. And also, we could see that non-English markets actually were growing even more dominantly, more spectacularly right now. And what we could see that the US sales were actually 35% of the whole sales of PublishDrive in February, and by April it was actually shrunk back to 32%. So it means that non-English language, non-US countries were growing much more than the US market actually. And when it comes to the different type of stores, we could see that regional stores and subscription models were growing the most in April. Even subscription models were growing almost 26%, which is super high. And regional stores were growing also 23%. But it's very interesting to see how retail was growing, especially Apple and Google. And it comes because of the fact that Apple and Google has their own devices all over the world. So whenever you see an iOS device like a Mac or an iPhone or an iPad, there is a Books app pre-installed, so people can actually find books there instantly. And it's the same with any kind of Android device. They have the Google Play Bookstore pre-installed there as well. And when it comes to subscription services, there are other players on the market, not just Script, like Bookmate or 24 Symbols. They are also growing very heavily month by month. And it's because of their local markets as well, because 24 Symbols is very much local in Spain. So they actually can reach those customers in Spain, which are not reached by the other providers. And also Bookmate is very dominant in Russia or in Philippines or in Indonesia. And we can see a big growth in their numbers as well. And that is a very interesting time to be a publisher right now.
Do you have any tips for publishers when they are turning to the distribution strategy part of the whole digitalization strategy? What should they look out for when they build it?
Yeah, so when it comes to the distribution, yeah, I can actually stop my screen share a bit just to see you guys better. First of all, when I talk to different publishers, it's so eye-opening that right now they are actually focusing on digital more with their whole launch strategy. So before they were releasing print first, or in the best case scenario, they were releasing print and ebook first, but now many of them are actually releasing ebook only, which is, I think, the right move right now, because what else you can do when there are no printers? So obviously this is a right move. And even in some cases, they pre-release the ebook version and they decide to release the print a bit later, a month later, for instance, so they can drive ebook sales more with the timing, basically. Also, when it comes to your metadata, you have to clean it up right now to make sure that you can stand out in the stores. So this is one way how you can stand out with your distribution strategy, to have more categories for your titles, and especially as Amazon is getting rid of the general categories, for instance. It's way more important right now to find a category which is more in-depth and more specific for your title, because in this way you will not lose any interest of the retailers, and it will actually help you to stand out and be compared to other titles as well. Well, we could see that there is also a method how you can increase sales, especially if you have more formats. When it comes to, for instance, Amazon, you have 3 different formats there: print on demand, ebook, and audio. Let's say that you have all these formats available on Amazon. you have to actually link them to each other to make sure that the previews will stay in one place. So everyone who is searching for your audiobook, they will see the reviews for your audiobook as well, and then for the print title as well, and then for the ebook. So whoever leaves a review for your content, whether it's in print, ebook, or audio, will show up on your book page in all formats. So that's very important to link the different formats to each other, and we definitely see that this helps in terms of sales as well. And right now, I looked at the best-selling titles as well in PublishDrive, and box sets and bundles are selling very well. So whenever you can give a good deal for the readers, that they can see that, okay, it's maybe it's a bit cheaper, but in many cases, it's not just because it's cheaper, but you can have all part of the series in one book. So it's more on the convenience side, that they don't need to find the next book, the next part of the series. They just have it in one place, and then they can read it. So in both strategies, so you can decide that you give a discount on a bundle, but you can actually keep the price as well. So in both strategies, it can work. And we definitely can see that during this time, especially for heavy readers, it's a good tactic to actually have a bundle. And price promotions work as well. So obviously during this time, everyone is more cautious about how they spend their money. So whenever you can get a good deal for the readers with a discount, they will be super happy about that. But make sure that you have some promotion tied to that, because in some cases they might not be able to see that they actually have a good deal right now. So you have to definitely promote it in a way which gives them more visibility.
Those are definitely good points. As a heavy fantasy reader myself, I enjoy bundles a lot. So
I told you.
So definitely all of these are really good points. And the third factor you mentioned is scaling the marketing efforts. Part of it can be the price promotion. It's already a promotion, but what might be other key issues that publishers have to pay attention to?
Yeah, so let me share my screen again. Basically, when it comes to marketing, a lot of publishers they had a lot of offline ways how they do their marketing, but right now they definitely have to shift to digital more. And what we could see that if you actually can take part in any kind of promotion with the stores or in newsletters, that can definitely help to drive your sales. But some of them actually are organizing virtual events, which are also very successful. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation as well, that optimizing your ad strategy might worth to spend some time on right now, because Facebook ads can be cheaper in some countries because of the whole COVID-19 situation. So it might be more profitable right now to look at these options.
Right. So as in PublishDrive, did you see some practices in marketing during this period that you can share or you want to share that are really working out for publishers?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, as I mentioned, taking part in any kind of promotion, whether it's regional, whether it's with the different stores, is a very good option right now. And as I mentioned also, that libraries and different retailers, they are looking for good content. So if you have a good content, make sure that you actually can get into those promotions. And we try to make it visible for you guys within the platform under the promotions tab, to make sure that you know about these opportunities, or even we are sending out specific emails to people to make sure that they actually understand the different requirements for the promotions as well. And we could see very good results based on the promotions with stores. Also, We looked at what others are doing right now. Email newsletter promotions are a great way to engage more readers. And you have different options for a BookBub ad or a BookBub featured position, which is not that easy to get, especially on the US market, but for international, it might be a bit easier. It's a bit pricey, but it's worth it based on the different experiences of our publishers. Also, we have free options available within PublishDrive for email newsletters. So you can either go to the written word media options within the promotions tab, or you can pay a much smaller amount for written word media featured positions as well within the platform. And the other good marketing tactic, what we could also see working right now, is perma-free pricing. So it's related to pricing as well. But if you can actually make the first part of the series for free, you might reach a lot of new readers right now, especially through retail channels. And even in cases of subscription services, if there is a book for free, they might make it more visible within the store, because it's obviously an incentive for them as well. So this is something what you should definitely look at if you are looking for ways in terms of your marketing. And the third one, what we could see working right now pretty well, is getting more reviews. So as there are more readers right now, you should definitely try to engage them to leave you more reviews, because reviews actually are they are really important, whatever in cases if you want to actually run an Amazon ad right now, for instance. So if you don't have good reviews or enough reviews on Amazon ads are not working well. So if you have the chance to get into more stores and more readers right now, make sure that they leave reviews for you. And you can actually get the free review copies throughout the system as well, throughout the PublishDrive system. And it's super convenient because it's protected, and you don't need to send any print copy for people, but you actually can send a digital version, which will be also deleted in 28 days if people are not using it. So that's also very important to know as an option, how you can get more reviews as a publisher.
Thank you very much for those really cool tactics for marketing right now. Before we turn to our Q&A session in a couple of minutes, can you summarize very shortly what we talked about and maybe share something extra that you think might have been left out?
Yeah, sure. So as we talked about in the beginning, there are three main parts where you have to focus as a publisher right now: how to scale your production with building processes and with being multi-format from the very beginning, because that's super important to minimize your efforts on creating more content and also to maximize your royalties. So you have to scale your distribution as a second step. And you have to make sure, especially when you are selling audiobooks, which are more costly, so they can easily cost a couple of $1,000s, that you actually can make it profitable for you. And if you are selling only on Amazon, that might be harder to get. And right now, as we can see, all the other channels are actually growing, and they are investing more in their reader relationships and how they actually can build their reader base. It's a good time to step foot in other markets as well, when it comes to subscription services or libraries, or even international retail channels. And also marketing is super important, because we all know that publishing a book will not sell itself just because of that you published it. So right now, you can actually optimize your ad strategy with lower ad costs, both in Amazon ads in many cases, or in Facebook as well. And also you can find great options being part of different promotions with stores, which are free, but also you can search for some reasonably priced options like written word media, newsletter options, which seem to be working for many of the publishers we are working with as well. And they actually brought a good ROI, return on investment, for the publishers when they had these options.
Perfect. Do you want to share anything else aside from the summary before we turn to the Q&A?
Yeah, maybe one more step, because one of the biggest mistakes what we can see when publishers are actually moving to digital and going to different markets, that they are only sharing Amazon links, which is great. But if you have your book available in different markets as well, especially based on the growth what we can see on these other stores, it is really reader friendly if you actually can put the other links to your site as well. So if you have a publisher site or an author site, it's super important to have the different retailer links available, because that's the way how you can get more visibility for the other stores. And also we can see that in some cases it helps with the SEO with Google, for instance. So Google likes when the links of the Google Playbook store are mentioned on more sites. So they are liking when they are linked to themselves. Obviously, they are a search company, so it is very understandable. And this is another tactic what you can use to drive more sales to your site and to your books.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Okay, all right. So we turn to the last part of our webinar. We have received some questions, but if you have some more, then feel free and post the questions now. So first, Michael shared this question. If I'm a technology company interested in purchasing ebooks for our mobile application, who should I talk to? Can PublishDrive help, or do I reach out to publishers directly? So many companies are non-responsive to new business inquiries, and I don't understand why. They don't want to talk about selling their ebooks, or am I not talking to the right people? What would you say to this, Kinga?
Well, it's when it comes to content, everyone wants content right now, but obviously everyone has limited resources. So publishers are focusing on mostly on the part that they need to have more content available, and they need to have more formats available as well. So they are heavily focusing on production right now, as that's what we can see, production and marketing. And when it comes to distribution, especially with a new partner, they say that, okay, if you are working with those guys with whom I am already working with, then I leave it up to you guys. But they don't want to spend more time on that. And it's totally understandable that they are focusing on the things what is most important right now, to make their things in order and basically have more content available and smarter marketing as well.
Okay, thank you, Kinga, and thank you, Michael, for that question. Certainly, we received this question a couple of times. Right, and Olivier asked another one that's also very, very interesting. What languages come after English in terms of sales, and how are they going right now? Kinga, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so Spanish languages are growing really well. Also French is growing heavily. So we even could see, I don't have the statistics in front of me right now. I'm happy to send some follow-up regarding this in terms of the exact growth numbers, but they are definitely more than 30% right now. And that's also very interesting. And we are working with some Romanian trade publishers we could see definitely a lot of growth within the Romanian language itself. It was above 50% actually.
That's quite an impressive number. Okay, thank you, Kinga, and thank you, Olivier, for the question. And Sandy is asking this: how can I market my titles in other countries? How do I find these opportunities?
Yeah, so within the PublishDrive promotions tab, you should be able to see other stores like Odilo or 24 Symbols available, and also Sheila, our colleague on the merchandising part, she's sending out emails to take part in other promotions. So for instance, we recently had a Chinese promotion available for Chinese stores. So whenever you had an English title, you actually could submit your title for Chinese stores as well in the retail or in the library section.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry, we've just received another comment, and I'm just browsing through it.
Okay, sure, no problem. In the meantime, I can let you guys know that if you are interested in any of PublishDrive services, we have a 50% off right now on the platform, so you can check it out, whether it is something you want to actually exploit and whether you want to see how it should actually work for you out right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to make sure that you will receive an even more detailed slideshow that Kinga presented. And we're going to also send you the recording of this session by tomorrow. Basically, just the comment that we received is actually an interest in young adult romance, thriller, fantasy, and sci-fi. They are looking for this sort of content, and we've received an email address, so we are definitely going to contact you about this proposal. So thank you so much for everyone's attention, and from Olivier we received a merci, so merci as well.
Thank you, Olivier.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. We are wrapping up right now. You will be receiving everything that we talked about in a slideshow format and with a recording by tomorrow. And we hope that you enjoyed our session and learned something about the strategies that you can follow right now amidst the COVID-19 crisis.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.